everyone, it's Sarina and I'm welcoming you to Sweet Hand Caribbean Cooking with Sarina. And it's the first show for February, and as you can see we have a slightly different format this time around. So Valentine's Day is coming up and I have prepared a vegetarian menu this time around. We're going to have a Vichyssoise Creole, which is going to be a cassava soup chilled. We're going to have pasta with roasted grapes, which sounds really strange, but it's a combination I had recently at a local pizza house and it's amazing. So I thought I would try it with pasta instead of on pizza. We're also going to have affogato, but Caribbean style. And to finish it all off, an alcoholic chocolate punch cocktail. So before I get started, I just want to introduce everyone in the gallery. Starting to the very left is Daniela Prudhomme, who's one of my oldest friends. Hi, Dan.
Hi.
She was just in Trinidad recently for a few days and jet-setted right back to Miami, which is her current home. Then we have John the chef in the highlands of Scotland, hiding out.
Yeah.
Hi,
Good
John.
evening. Good evening, Sarina and all.
Yes, yes. And then we have our musical guest, Randy just joined us. Hey, Randy.
Hello, Sarina.
Hey, from you're in Utah, right?
Yes, the beautiful Caribbean queen.
Yeah, Randy's with us here in Utah. He's one of my oldest fans of the show, longest fans of the show, not the oldest. Rony, who's one of my really good longtime friends. He's going to be playing pan for us. So this is our last show before I take a little break for Carnival. So Rony is a pannist, Tobagonian-born. I've known him for a long time. I'm going to bust a few files about him a little later on. And let's get started. So if anybody has any questions, you can just jump right in and ask them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some margarine. You can use butter, but I'm using margarine into this pot. And it's on medium heat. A little more than medium heat. I was talking a little too much there. And this is going to be the base of our soup. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have here some onions and garlic and a little bit of thyme. And they're all chopped up and they're going to start to saute and get golden. I don't want them to brown. I just want them to be golden. And that's going to be the base of our vichyssoise. So I'm just turning it around here, get the butter coated up on everything. And I'm just looking for them to soften. I'm not looking for them to, as I said, get brown. Soften, get a little golden, but we don't want to take it any further than that right now. Okay. So that's one pot that's got started. We have quite a few pots to get started tonight. So my next pot, I'm going to do the same thing. A little more margarine. And this is going to be the croutons. I'm going to cover this pot because they're actually going to cook. Everything cooks faster if you cover it. Little tip there. So just covering that. Putting a little butter in this pot now. That's going to be my croutons. And they sell croutons in the supermarket, but you don't really need to buy it. It's a good use for stale bread. You don't want to use very soft white bread, like what we would call kiss bread here in Trinidad, or Wonder bread and that type of bread in the US. You really want to use a baked loaf, an artisanal loaf, handmade bread, perfect, that is stale, because it's a much firmer texture, much firmer crumb. And that's what you're looking for in a crouton. Otherwise, it will just fall apart in the soup, and you don't want that. You want it to keep its shape. So I just have my bread there. That's some stale leftover homemade bread. And that's just going to sit pretty and brown and get golden. It has some thyme herbs sprinkled in with it as well. So that's going to settle there and be happy. And then the third pot, which is in the back here, yes, you can see it. That's going to be the base of our pasta sauce. And what are we going to start with again? Some margarine. You can use olive oil as well. And I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil, actually. just a little bit. And the reason for that is that when you mix olive oil and butter, you get, or margarine, you get the flavor, but it also helps it not to burn, because the fatty solids can burn if you leave them alone. So you just put a little bit of olive oil and it won't burn. So that's going good there. I'm just going to put my last bit of onions. Where are they? Oh, I'll put them up here. Oh, look at me. Right, there they are. And they also have some thyme. So because this is a Valentine's menu, I don't want aggressive flavors. I'm not looking for vampire breath, you know, too much garlic in the mix. I'm keeping things mild and neutral. Butter, milk, thyme, just very romantic and very smooth. So everything is softening up now. I have my croutons going, I have the base for my pasta sauce going, I have the base for my soup. Any questions so far? Ooh, very quiet.
I love the way you say Vichyssoise, Sarina. That's cool.
All right now. So let me check this, see how it's coming along. It's going good. And I can probably add my cassava now. And a lot of times, I'm sure John knows in Europe, you would probably use potatoes or parsnips or some other root vegetables. Is that right? Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Well, here I'm taking a little bit of a Caribbean twist and using cassava, which is a very mild but sweet tuber. And I think it just adds a wonderful local twist and flavor to that soup.
That is different.
Definitely. And if you can see here, I have the cassava. Let the camera focus on it, right? And it has if you can see here, this is it at the cross section, and you can see there's a hole right here in the middle. And that's because there's a thick rope-like string that grows through it that has to be removed. So that's the removal of it there. And that can be a little tedious by hand, but fortunately everything is available to us frozen and pre-chopped, and I like convenience, so that's what I do. That's how I buy it now. So I'm just putting this in here to again get coated with the flavors of the onions and the garlic, which is starting to come out. But again, I don't want anything to brown because I want this to be a very pale, clear soup. Not clear, but you know, even. That's what I mean. I want an even soup. All right. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit because now I'm going to add my vegetable stock. And I have 8 cups of vegetable stock, which I'm going to bring to a boil as quickly as possible. So that's why I just turned up the heat. It's a very simple recipe, as you can see, you know. It hasn't been very complicated so far. I think everybody here could replicate what I've done. And everything is still humming along on the other pots. And I'm just going to cover this now and move it to another burner so I can focus on this. So I'm going to put this on. I'm just going to bring this up to a boil. And it's going to cook very quickly because I sliced the cassava thinly. And that's another tip, that if you want things to cook through very quickly, dice or cut them finely. And they will cook through much faster than if you do big chunks. And so since time is of the essence, this is live, I sliced it very thinly. And this is all going to be pureed in the end, so it doesn't matter. Put that across here. Let's get our pasta sauce started. Looking good. Now here I have a mixture of wine and vegetable broth. And I use drinking wine because, you know, they do sell cooking wine, but what makes a cooking wine is the addition of salt. So that's why, you know, you're advised to cook with wine that you would actually drink because it doesn't have that extra sodium component. You can hear that. So I've now put the wine into the pot, and so it's kind of stopped the cooking of the onions and the garlic, and now they're going to start to simmer. And we're trying to get all the raw flavor out of these onions right now because we want just a very flavorful infused sauce, and we really want the flavor of the wine to come through. We don't want raw onion. Not a good thing. Not a romantic thing. All right.
Sarina, how come the hangout is limited? Are other people watching it?
Well, it's always limited. Hangouts on air usually are limited unless they're public hangouts on air. So because I always have a guest list, it's limited to that guest list. So
Okay.
nothing to worry about.
Alrighty. I used to have I had the link up so that I could see the event page. Oh, here it is.
Oh, you found it? Okay, great. Okay. So we're just bringing this up to a boil because when it comes up to a boil, we'll know that the sauce is ready for the next step. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I have my grapes here. And these are going to be the roasted grapes for the sauce. And I hope you can see them.
Yes, it's delicious.
Oh, yeah.
So I've used the sorted colors. I've used red seedless, I've used black seedless, and I've used green seedless. And right now they've been tossed with some olive oil. And they've been sitting pretty like that for a few hours. My silicone mat, which Daniela gave me a few years ago, and which is now a permanent place in my kitchen.
Oh, they're the best silicone mats.
I know, right?
Very good.
Still a pot.
Sarina, what does the olive oil do for the grapes?
Well, again, because grapes are sweet, when we roast these in the oven, they're going to get even sweeter. And so the olive oil and the salt are helping to bring those flavors into balance because we're not making a dessert. We are still making a savory dish. We want those points of sweetness, but we also want it in a savory context. So by adding I'm using kosher salt, you can also use sea salt, and the olive oil, you're helping to bring those savory flavors in that will tie in with the thyme, for example, and the onions and the garlic. So you won't get like an overpowering candy flavor because that's not going to be nice. That's not a good time. So that's just going in there for about 7 minutes at 400 degrees. So it doesn't take very long at all. And what roasting does, like I said, it caramelizes the sugars, so it's going to be very soft. It's also going to soften the grapes a lot, so you're not going to get that bite or anymore. It's going to be almost like a jelly or like a gummy bear. Oh, very soft, very still with a little bit of chew, but very silky. So again, romance. We're not trying to put too much effort here. We're not gnawing at anything. So our sauce has come up to a boil here. You can hear it. So I just turned off the heat because we're going to add some cream to it now. And I don't want that cream to curdle. So I'm just turning off the heat now so that it starts to come down. Okay. Let's check the croutons. Yes, they're starting to get golden. I won't show them to you just yet. Just flipping them over. Probably turn up the heat a little more. Any questions on the stream yet, Daniela?
No, I don't see any questions.
Okay. All right.
And that's so smart to have somebody watching the stream, you know?
Yes, well, you know, normally at the end of the show, I go back and I look at the questions, and sometimes I wish I could have answered the questions in real time. So if anybody's watching on the event page, feel free to type. Somebody is watching, somebody is monitoring. Okay.
Good idea.
Thank you.
I just love the sound of roasted grapes. I've learned something tonight. That is so cool.
All right. So my grapes are roasting, my soup is starting to simmer, my croutons are simmering. Not simmering, they're browning. Any questions so far? From you all?
We have someone who wants to come in, Jennifer Cook.
Oh yeah, sure. Jason, can you bring her in? I'm I'm not sure if she has circled the account that this streams from. I could handle that if I wasn't cooking on air right now. If there's any trouble, just Randy, you know the account that we're using right now. You can just tell her to circle that account. So you can type that to her, and we'll send her an invite.
Okay, and that's your Sarina Bland account?
No, Sarina B.
Sarina B. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we have that going on now. In about 4 minutes, the grapes should be ready to be taken out and to cool. Hey Ronnie, so what do you think of this so far? You have any Valentine's plans?
Well, I'm still thinking of what to do, so.
I'm giving you some ideas,
maybe,
right?
Yes, I'm getting some ideas now.
Yes, and I'm sure Pfizer would appreciate a home-cooked meal.
Ah, yes.
Just sit back.
How's it smelling there?
Exactly. So this is cooking down. The heat is coming off, so I'm just going to add the cream. Where is the cream? I have to head off camera for that. So I'm using this cream here, Anchor, and I'm just going to I'm just eyeballing it right now. I did give a measurement in the recipe, which is on the event page. But for this right now, I'm just eyeballing because I want it to coat the back of the spoon, and I'll show you what that's about. But I also want it to be sufficient because of all the other things that are going to go into this pasta. So it's looking really good right now, and I love adding cream to things. I mean, a lot of the times I do cook vegan, and I love vegan alternatives, but every now and again I just crave actual cream, and the body that it can give is really, really something. Yeah, that is looking good. I'm just going to add a little bit more before I show you. Oh, that's nice. There we go. So let's see if I can give you a shot of that. Can you see that? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Right, so this is my pasta sauce right now, and as you can see, it's coating the spoon.
Nice,
So
looking good.
That's what we're looking for. John's excited.
And that'll keep on thickening up?
It will, which is why I'm now going to put a little more cream, just a tad. If you do want to thin it out, you can use vegetable stock, you can use water. But again, I have quite a bit of pasta and a few other ingredients to go in here, and I really do want a thick, creamy pasta for this. Again, you know, it just gives that feeling of luxuriousness and decadence, which I just think is part of what Valentine's Day is supposed to be all about. So we have that there. If I can have my pasta. I just prepared the pasta before we went on air, so it's still warm. Drizzled with a little olive oil. Never rinse your pasta. When it's finished, drain it, toss it with olive oil. Don't rinse it. That's something that is almost habit here in the Caribbean, or in Trinidad at least. My mother, who's Jamaican, used to do it, and when I finally learned the difference it makes not to do it, I evangelized everyone and everything. So stop rinsing your pasta. You don't rinse your pasta, do you, Randy?
I rinse my pasta. I'm guilty.
You see? A Trinidadian.
So now I won't rinse.
Don't rinse your pasta, Daniela. The reason you don't want to rinse it is you're taking out a lot of the flavor. You see, you kind of have this mistaken idea here that the sauce is the flavor and the pasta is just kind of a carrier. But the pasta is really supposed to have the actual flavor. Hello?
We have a question if you want to answer it.
Yes, what's the question?
Okay, David the Bear wants to know what type of olive oil do you use for the grapes?
I use extra virgin olive oil. I use extra virgin olive oil for everything. So as you can see here, my pasta is just beautifully coated right now. Like, let's see if I can bring it up to the hot cam. Let's see if it will focus. Can you see that well? Very pale. But it's very coated right now. The sauce is clinging to the pasta, and the shape of the pasta is very important because I'm using grapes. I used shell pasta. And any type of shell pasta will work really well because the grapes are round, so they're going to be caught inside the shells rather than with like a linguine or a fettuccine or a spaghetti, you know. And again, that the sauce, because it's so thick and creamy, it's going to get into the ridges of the pasta, it's going to get into the cup of the shell pasta. So every mouth's going to have sauce bursting and grapes bursting, and I just think that sounds like a good thing.
That sounds amazing.
I think so. So now that we have this tossed, let's take out our grapes. Yes, it's time.
I saw a cooking show on television, and it was in a restaurant, and it was an Italian restaurant. And when they were doing their draining of the pasta out of the water, it was a very large strainer, and it was
Yes.
like a cone.
Yeah, like a pasta. I think that's called a pasta pot. John might want to correct me if I'm wrong.
I was looking for it, but you call it a pasta pot?
I think
I
so.
call it a conical strainer.
Say that again?
A conical strainer.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah.
there's one that actually fits inside the whole pot, and you can take it out. And the water just drains away right away. You don't have to go that extra step of finding a colander like I do.
That's the way I've always done it, is chuck it in a
Yeah.
colander.
And this one was
Here I
about
have my grapes. You can see them. We're not trying to turn them into raisins.
Nice.
And they will continue to soften as they cool. So I'm just setting them aside to cool a little bit now before I put them in. Well, actually, I could put them in right now. I just want everything cool a bit before I put in the spinach, because I don't want the spinach to completely cook through. I do want it to wilt, but I don't want it to cook through. So I'm just going to put my grapes in here, and the heat of everything is just going to keep melding and infusing. And like I said, we've got that olive oil, we've got that salt. Sorry. So I'm just mixing this up, and you're going to start to see how jewel-like it looks. That's another reason why I love roasted grapes. They are just very jewel toned, and they just add such a look of opulence to a dish. So if you can see here, they're starting to give their color to the dish. I hope that translates well. When I plate, maybe you'll get to see it a little bit better. So I'm just mixing that up right now. And as it cools a little bit later, I'm going to put in the spinach and the Asiago. Let's see how the croutons are doing.
What did you say, Asiago then?
Yeah.
What is
Did I
that?
pronounce it wrong?
What is it?
Oh, it's a type of cheese. It's a very hard, well, it comes in different levels of firmness, but the one I'm using right now is a firm Asiago, which is an Italian cheese. It's very has a very strong flavor, very salty, a little bit like of a pungency like blue cheese, but again, it's very firm, so it stands up well to grating over pastas without completely turning into mush or melting. So you'll still get that flavor. And again, we're balancing out the sweetness of the grapes. So the strength and the pungency of the Asiago is going to help bring balance to the dish, so that you're not getting overpowering sweetness. It's being balanced by the different savory elements that are going on.
Interesting, brilliant.
Yeah, you should try it. Look for it if you can find it, and give it a little sliver taste. It's really nice. So my croutons are crisping.
Sarina, have you ever made this before for some of your friends and stuff?
I actually haven't. I actually haven't. This show has caused me to entertain a lot more, not because I didn't want to, but to always find the time. I would always find a reason to kind of do something else. So with this show now, because I have so much food every Thursday, I do have friends over a lot of the time. So now they're starting to be able to eat my food. Before it was just immediate family that really got to enjoy, I hope the word is enjoy, what I make.
So you have some friends over tonight who are going to eat?
Yes, I am. Yes, they're coming over at the end. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to bring the soup back into the forefront, because it is doing really well. Let's get this. Let me get the other part of it. So here we can see, ooh, I love that little burst of steam that comes when you take off a lid. Everything is golden. Everything is integrated. Now we've got cassava floating, melding with onion, melding with garlic and thyme and margarine and wine. Gotta love the wine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just take this off the heat for a little bit so that I'm going to puree it. And when I puree it, I'm going to add a little more cream as well. So we're going to have cream in the pasta, we're going to have cream in the soup. I like to tie elements. Hey, Cynthia, when did you sneak in? Oh, I think you're muted still.
Just a few minutes ago.
Oh, hi. I was so into talking, I didn't see the screen.
No, I'm very excited to see this.
Yeah.
I put a link to the cheese on there for you, John, in the chat area.
You can put that on the event page too if you want, Randy, so that the people watching outside can also maybe learn something about it.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Are you in the Mardi Gras mood yet, Cynthia? Cynthia's from Louisiana.
I've been so busy. I hate to say it, but no.
Oh my gosh. It's getting very hard to escape here because, you know, Carnival is
everywhere.
Carnival is a national endeavor in these parts.
Yep.
So I'm going to take this off the heat here.
When does it wrap up? Next Tuesday? Is it next Tuesday?
Well, theoretically, but in Trinidad it tends to go on and go on.
Because that's supposed to be Lent.
I know. It's supposed to be Lent, isn't it? But, you know?
Yeah, I know.
These days people are more and more reluctant to just shut down on the days, so
yeah.
Kind of carry the spirit. So my croutons are getting really nice and crisp here. Can you see them?
Yeah.
Ooh. And again, that thyme, I have thyme in there as well, Cynthia, so the thyme is going to infuse the croutons as well, and when it hits the soup, it's just going to be so nice.
Nice.
So I'm going to take this over right now to the blender to blend a little bit, and while I do, I think it's a good time for Rony to play our first song. And Rony is in Houston. He's a Tobagonian-born pannist that I've known for a lot of years, since the mid-90s. When he was a very active part of something I had then called Trinidad Online. And I ran that, and the offshoot of that was the Rum Shop Lime.
Yes.
And Rony was a very active participant in the Rum Shop Lime, I'll tell you.
Good man.
That chat room. And Rony became the co-moderator. I mean, we had some really good times then. Remember when we had a 24-hour chat session?
Yes.
That was madness. We decided that for 24 hours, one of us would always be in the chat room so that any Trini, anywhere in the world, at any time, could log in and find another Trini to talk to. And
that's so cool.
I know, and he met his wife.
That's where I met my wife, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so you
Congratulations.
see? So I always take a little credit for that. So Rony's going to play a song right now called Caribbean Sunrise.
Yes.
And it's actually the song I use in the promos for my ebook, Glam by Request. Little plug there. So if you go to glambyrequest.com, you can look at the book, order it if you like to. And you can also see the promo that has Rony's song, Caribbean Sunrise, and I love it to death. So if everybody mutes, we can hear it. Rony can go to his pan and get started.
All right. I hope you enjoy. Everybody enjoy.
Yeah, I'll mute. Very nice, Ronnie. Very nice.
Great job, Ronnie.
Okay, thank you.
Bravo! Bravo!
He can't hear us yet, but we are still cheering for him anyway.
Absolutely. That was good.
Doesn't it make you feel like a Caribbean sunrise? Like you're on a beach and you're just watching the boats go by?
I'm on the next plane.
I love it. So my Vichyssoise here is, as you can see, it's been pureed. And I've added the cream to it. And I'm just going to test it because this is when you can taste test it to see if it needs some salt. It's actually really good. I'm not even going to add salt. That's when you know you've done it right, because really the flavor of the onions and the garlic, if you've sauteed them well, if you've brought out that rich flavor, and the stock that you use as well is good, you're not going to really need to add too much, but you always do want to check and do your adjustments at this stage. So this is perfect. So I'm just going to put this aside to plate in a little bit. Croutons, let's see how they're doing. Yep, I think they're ready. I don't want them to turn to toast. I mean, I do want them to turn to toast, but not burnt toast. So right now they're very crunchy. They're golden on most sides. They're starting to turn dark brown on some. So to me, I'm good with this right now. I think they're very pretty. I'm going to leave them there. And our pasta, I think, is ready to have the spinach added. I just had that covered there to cook a little more. Just get another steam. And I'm going to now add the spinach and the Asiago. And as I was saying last week, I love baby spinach. It's just so convenient. It's already washed. It's full of iron. And I didn't want the pasta too hot because I didn't want it to just disappear into nothing. But I do want it to wilt a little bit. So I just kind of left the pasta to be warm. That you still get that bite, you still get that crunch of the fresh spinach, but its texture is not completely out of place. It does soften a little bit. Any questions? Yeah, I see you there.
Vichyssoise is, hold on. Can you hear me?
What?
I was just going to say Vichyssoise is my absolute favorite soup.
Oh, brilliant. And what's your little twist to it?
My grandmother used to make it, and I love it cold with the chives like freshly chopped all over the top.
That's what I'm going to put. I have my little bowl of freshly chopped chives right with me. That's how it should be done. That's how it should be enjoyed. I'm just mixing in my spinach here. Just eyeballing again. I mean, I said a 10-ounce bag, but I may not use all 10 ounces. You know, it's cooking. Follow your feeling, follow your spirit.
I so like that term eyeballing, Sarina. It's a new one to me. It's a good terminology. I might pick that one up.
You're picking up some terms there, man, John. So here I have my grated cheese. If I have a second, I'll show you, John, one that I didn't grate yet, so you can see the form it's sold in. But here I have it, and I'm just going to use about a little bit. I'm going to save some for garnish. But the rest I'm going to mix in here.
That's the cheese that you just put in?
Yes, this is the Asiago. And again, it has a very strong flavor, so a little bit's going to go a long way in this dish. Because, like I said, I don't want strong flavors per se, but I do want to balance out the sweetness of the grapes. But I don't want it to be like a blue cheese sandwich, you know. That's not very romantic, I don't think. So.
Well, that sure looks good.
Thank you. When I plate it, hopefully you'll get even more of the spirit of it. And again, with the spinach, spinach is a very neutral, can be a very neutral flavor, especially when you just put it in like this in salad form. So by putting the Asiago is going to cling to the spinach because of the pasta sauce, so that you're going to get little salty bites of cheese with every bite of the spinach. So that's also going to help the spinach to integrate flavor-wise with the dish. That's almost ready. I think we can take this. I have some freshly chopped basil as well to top everything with.
What do you think the cost of this is for tonight's dinner, Sarina?
That's really hard for me to say, especially since you're in the US. Daniela might be able to do a better job than me, because our prices are so inflated here, you know, with the overhead and the importation of some of the products. So it'll be very hard for me to give you a realistic estimate in your dollar. But Dan, I don't know if you could, or Cynthia, if you could maybe pop in there.
I'm not sure on a per plate basis, but so you're talking about Vichyssoise with a lovely spinach pasta salad. Is that what this is?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and I just meant in general. You know, if you're going to feed a family of 4, you know, what do you think? Is it $10 for all 4 people, or 15?
If you're going to feed a family of 4, you could get pasta for $1 or $2 and feed a box of the pasta and feed a family. So you've got the $1 into the pasta, and then you've got probably $1 or $2 into your spinach. And then the Asiago is just a small amount. That's going to be probably the highest cost item.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too.
But you use it very sparingly, because it will last. It does go a long way because it's so strongly flavored.
The thing to do is to buy it in a block in its original state, and then grate it as you need it, and buy a little chunk, and a little will go a long way, as opposed to buying it in those packages, because you're just buying air already grated. So I'd recommend the block. You're going to pay $6 or $7, I would think, on a small amount. Beautiful. Hang on a second. Let me take
Oh my gosh, look how wonderful that is.
Hold on, leave it here. Don't leave.
You know, if a single guy makes this dinner for a girl, he's going to marry him.
Yeah, and you know what?
Yes.
You can treat her like a princess for probably under $10.
Yeah.
Exactly. Fresh basil, because this is fresh basil from my garden here.
Nice.
So fresh basil leaves on the top for garnish, a little bit more of the Asiago. And like I said, you know, it's very visually appealing. It's very pretty with the colors of those greens, you know, and the contrast of the pasta and the spinach. So that's dish 1 out of the way.
That's good.
Really beautiful.
There we go. Now we're ready to try our soup, which I will be chilling a little bit more before my guests arrive, but don't have the luxury of doing that on air. And since this is a starter soup, you know, you're not looking to like fill up a big bowl of it.
Yeah.
Just a few pieces that you're really just kind of giving them to start their palate. Put in a bit of the croutons, and I just love the way the flecks of thyme look in the middle. And my sides, which Cynthia will be very happy to see. Also from my garden. So there we go. With our soup.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Very beautiful.
And the flavor is just, like I said, the flavor is very smooth, it's very buttery.
Bring it back, I want to see it again.
I'm trying to think which camera is better. I think I'm going to stick with this one. I don't want to split it on my computer. Can you see that?
Ah, that's so beautiful. Ah.
And with the cassava flavor, it's just wonderful. And look at these cute little bowls Daniela brought back for me.
Very pretty. Where did they come from?
From Pair 1.
Oh, nice.
I know. So there's a whole set of them. They're measuring cups, but I'm using them as my little bowls, my little cup bowls today. So thank you, Daniela.
You're welcome.
So now the next thing is our dessert and our cocktail. And oh, you know, I forgot. Well, I'll say it right before I play off Rony. I'll say that part. So I'm making a chocolate punch cocktail today. It's called chocolate punch without actually having any chocolate in it, but it does have creme de cacao. And what is really amazing is how the mixture of milk and port wine, tawny port, which is what I used here, actually creates the chocolate flavor.
Oh.
Ooh, did somebody just sigh when I said tawny port?
That sounds...
John is like, oh,
I did.
That sounds outrageously lovely.
I have have here I'm going very guerrilla style today. So I'm just putting some teaspoons of agave here. About 2 teaspoons.
Wow.
The recipe is on the event page. And I'm dripping it on myself. Here I have, again in my little Danny bowl, half cup of tawny port wine. And I use tawny because it has, smokier tones, which I think will go really well with the affogato. This is a very raisiny one. I'll show you the bottle in a little bit. So I'm mixing that up good.
That is so amazing.
Thank you, John. And now a tablespoon of creme de cacao. Love this bottle that I got. Which camera am I in? Oh, I can't see. Oh, there we are. I got this in this really nice liquor store. I'm giving them a shout out called Bottle Stop here in Trinidad. Really
What's that taste like plain?
It tastes like heaven. It tastes like if Hershey's was touched by angels and just went floating down the river. Like I drank it plain, expecting it to be a little harsh, but to have a bit of an alcoholic finish, and it was just like chocolate marshmallows liquefied. It was, but clear. It's wonderful. So you only need a tablespoon of that in here because it is such a strong chocolate flavor. And then I'm using almond milk here because I am lactose intolerant, but if you're not, you can use regular milk. So I'm just going to top this up here with that.
Almond milk is a good choice.
I love almond milk.
Yes.
I'm not even going to pretend to apologize or feel bad about that.
Honestly, I have shifted completely to almond milk from milk.
Wonderful! It's nice, isn't it?
I feel so much better. It's almost like I don't get the same kind of colds and sickness I used to get.
Right. No, I do try to limit my dairy consumption. There's a lot of cream in these dishes, but that's a very rare treat for me. And I say, don't cut out everything, don't cut out anything as my personal philosophy, but minimal. Treat yourself, but let it be a treat. Know that it's a treat. You're not going to eat like this every day.
All in balance.
All in balance. So here's my chocolate punch. You can see it actually looks like chocolate milk, doesn't it?
Yes.
And it has a very chocolatey flavor as well. Oh my god. I'm going to start liking it on camera.
Wow.
It's so good though. It's really good. So this recipe is on the event stream. Try it out, chocolate punch. And that is to go with my dessert affogato. People a lot of the time know affogato as a beverage dessert. It can go either way. I think traditionally it was in beverage form, but to the menu today I'm using the more dessert form. And the difference is the ratio of ice cream to coffee. So now you know what the main components are here. And I'm using today coconut ice cream from Willie's, which every Trinidadian will know. So this is a really good coconut ice cream. You know Willie's, Rony?
Yes.
So here we're using 2 scoops about of coconut ice cream. And this is the really good coconut ice cream, not the artificially flavored stuff, You actually feel like you're downing fresh coconut flesh with this.
Nice.
Love it.
I have been so good. I have not had ice cream in 6 months.
Oh my, well, for diet or?
No, I was just eating it every night, And I just realized, oh my gosh,
And here I have Caribbean coffee that I've espresso shot from Caribbean coffee. That I put a few splashes of Angostura in.
Uh-oh.
Now you didn't put that up, that's not on the recipe, is it?
Yes it is.
The Caribbean coffee?
Well, no, I just put coffee because, you can use your Folgers or your Nescafe or, but
Okay.
I really wanted to use, and this is the brand I use, Cafe Trinité, which is a local brand, a local house. So this is roasted local coffee beans, and it's really good. It's really rich, very intense. And what I'm going to now grate on it, so see we have the coffee, it's mixing with the coconut ice cream. And the espresso is very bitter, but with the sweetness of the coconut, again, we're tempering, we're bringing everything into balance. So I'm using my lovely microplane, and this is actually Trinidad cocoa chocolate, and this is unsweetened. It just has spices and compressed cocoa. So it's let me see what it says here actually. Cocoa, cinnamon, nutmeg, and bay leaf, and it's so aromatic. It's like it smells really good. I love Trinidad cocoa. It's one of the best cocoas in the world. You know, so we're just gonna grate that over the top here.
What are you using? Because we can't see it. You using your teeth?
I'm using my trusty microplane. I love microplane, and you know, little shout out to them. They sent me some stuff last year, and I really.
Will you hold that tool up that you use, Sarina?
Hold on, let me show it. Microplane. Let me see right here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's just like a shredder or a grater.
Yes, it comes in different formats. So what's really nice is that the set that I got, they have each one coded. So like you see, this one has bars of chocolate on it, so that you know which one to use for which. So some are for cheese, some are for chocolate, some are for lime, zesting limes and citrus. So you see here, we've got our affogato. So you've got our coffee layer, we've got our coconut, we've got our cocoa.
Hold it down still for us a little bit.
Sorry, I'm just moving.
Beautiful.
There we go. You can get all the layers there. And I'm just going to top it off here with some chopped hazelnuts.
Oh.
See?
You already had me swooning. You had me at coconut ice cream.
And then I added things to it. Oh my God. So yeah, you got the bitter espresso, but it's going to be melting with the coconut ice cream. It tempers really beautifully. The grated chocolate, which is bittersweet. Wonderful layer, and then the hazelnuts give you texture, give you that bit of crunch. And with the chocolate and the hazelnut, you're getting a little bit of that Nutella vibe. So, wonderful combination. Perfect classic combination. You see how simple a dessert that was? You didn't have to make anything, you didn't have to measure any proportions and all of that. It's starting to melt. I feel like I should just eat this right now. So we have everything there. So any questions about any of the dishes I made here today?
I've got one question.
Yes.
What the thyme you used in the pasta? What type of thyme was it?
I don't know. We have I think it's called Spanish thyme, but you know a lot of time the things that we have here in the Caribbean have a different name outside the Caribbean. So here I think it's called Spanish thyme. I'm not sure though, and even in another island it might have a different name. If I can find a branch of it, we usually have some branches of it, and I hope I didn't use the last one. I'll take a picture and I'll add it to the event page. Maybe that'll help you if you can actually see it. But it's a very thin leaf, like on a very thin stick, and it almost looks like a fairy.
An aromatic.
Thing. Yeah, very highly aromatic, very fine leaves.
Cool. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, thank you. So did everybody like this menu?
Absolutely.
Think you can do one or two of the dishes for yourself?
Sarina, I keep asking myself, why did I get back on the plane? I just don't know why.
I know, you could have been here for this dinner right now.
No. Another thing I have to cook this week.
Sarina, my little girls are, they're 11 and 13, and they both want to be cooks. Do you think that this is a recipe that they could do pretty well?
Definitely, especially the pasta one. I mean, of course, with supervision, you don't ever want them to run amok. But I really like the pasta dish because there's no knives involved. So with the pasta dish, they're just roasting the grapes. They are, putting in the spinach. They're maybe grating the cheese, adding some of the wine and the liquid. But you don't have to worry about them and knife work.
Okay.
So I think this would be a good one for them to start off with. Okay. So we're getting down to the top of the hour, so I really wanted Rony. Rony is actually getting on a plane. He's going to be in Trinidad tomorrow for Carnival with Pfizer. I mean, that's when you're a son of the soil. Back every year, like clockwork. Wish you were coming too, Dan. And I forgot to mention that the pan, because a lot of times people say steel drums over in the US. Here we say pan, it's pan, say pan, get used to saying pan.
Or steel pan. Steel pan.
Or steel pan, but I'm trying to get them into the word pan.
Yeah.
pan, man, you know. And it's our national instrument. It's the only acoustic instrument invented in the 20th century, and it was invented right here on our soil. In the post-war period.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you know, we're very proud of
Very
that.
good, very good.
One quick question, Sarina. Since my daughter's mother does not allow any alcohol in the house, can they substitute a white wine thing?
Well, they can use vegetable stock, because I used half cup vegetable wine, vegetable stock, half cup white wine. So you could just use 1 cup vegetable stock.
Okay.
You know?
The other
And
thing
also, you could use de-alcoholized wine.
Yeah, isn't there a cooking wine or something like that?
Yeah, cooking wine. Just go to the store and you'll see in the vinegar section they have red cooking wine, they have sherry, they have a whole bunch of stuff. It's certainly not anything you'd want to drink, but it's great for cooking. Okay,
awesome. Thank you.
And teaching your girls proper knifing skills early on is a good thing. You might have to, ask a chef, but
Well, they grew up in Los Angeles. They know how to handle a blade.
Oh my gosh. Well, Rony, are you ready to play us out?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so this song is called Let's Have Some Fun. It's very Caribbean and very Carnival, and I think it's the perfect way to play out because I won't be on next week. I'm on the week after that, the 21st. I'm going to be having fun in the sun. I'll be putting pictures on my event stream. Yeah.
All right.
All the mayhem in the streets of Trinidad that's going to be going on the next few days.
post some pics.
Yeah.
See if you could do a live hangout from the street.
You're going to pay for my bandwidth? Because it ain't cheap here, I can tell you that. The mobile bandwidth is not cheap.
No.
So ready to play us out, Rony?
Yes, so everybody enjoy it. And you don't have to sit down and be still on this one. Yes.
Okay.
So while Rony sets up, thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you. This is beautiful.
Yes, I'm really glad. Really glad you enjoyed.
Great job, Sarina.
Thank you. You learned a thing or two, John and Dan?
Absolutely.
I did indeed. Very much.
Wonderful,
So,
wonderful. Okay, so
thank you,
everybody
that was
looks like Rony's ready to get started.